folks, Vanessa here from Fox Farms, and I just wanted to do a short video showing you how I did my corner posts, my brace post assemblies. A number of different ways to do it. I've seen different folks do it different ways. I'm not saying mine is the right way. I may certainly discover along the line that I would have preferred to do something differently. Just this afternoon I was fixing one of these, a diagonal wire on a different brace where the crimps broke, and you know, sometimes the crimps will break. But this is how I've set mine up. I have 6 wires, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From the bottom up, there are 6, 6, 6, 8, 10 inches. And when you're setting up your corner posts, first you want to choose the dimensions of the lumber that you're going to use. So for my actual corner post, I used a 6, 7, 8. So that's 6 inches or 7 inches wide. And I put the 7-inch wide piece down in the ground, and the 6-inch wide piece is up at the top, and it's 8 foot long. And so I put a 4-foot hole in. Now my tractor auger bit digs down to 3.5 foot. So we had to use a manual post hole digger, one of those things that you drop it in and push the 2 braces closed, and then you dig out some dirt. So we had to manually dig it out to 4 foot. And then we put concrete in. Again, some people use concrete, some don't. Some use rocks, some use nothing. I decided to go with concrete, so I put an 80-pound bag of concrete in, and then filled it up with dirt, and then we tamped the dirt down with about a 50 or 60-pound tamp bar. For the vertical brace posts, which are one at each end, we used a 5, 6, 7. So that's 5 to 6 inches wide, 7 foot long, and I made it 3 foot deep. I know some people put 4 foot deep for the brace posts. For the verticals, I ended up going 3 foot deep, but I did put an 80-pound bag of concrete in each of those holes. For the horizontals, these are 4 to 5 inches thick, 8 foot long, and to get the horizontals in, we use brace pins, and you can buy them in 5 or 10 inch lengths. The 5-inch length goes in 2.5 inches onto each piece of wood. And the 10-inch length is if you're putting a straight H brace, but I'm using corners, so I use 5-inch. And every now and then I've done my math wrong and I bought maybe too many straight pins and too few short pins, and in which case sometimes I use the 10-inch pins, and then I would just have 2.5 inches going in there, 7.5 inches going in here on the top post, which is fine. You just drill this a little bit deeper. It's not an issue. The diagonal, let me move the camera over here. We've got cow spectators. For the diagonal, some people wrap twice and they end up doing a figure of 8. I don't do that because when people wrap twice with a figure of 8, they normally use like a straight bar, a piece of metal, and they would put it in and then twist it, like flip it over to get it to tighten. And I've got to be honest, I don't like that idea myself, because I figured that if I accidentally let go of that bar, then it was going to unspin and whack me in the face, and bad things were going to happen. So I didn't do that. So I went with a single line, and let me move the camera again. I'm going to take it off of here. Okay. So down at the bottom, I went once around, and I put 3 crimps. Now at each bottom piece you want a staple. There's my staple down there. Get this grass out the way. There's my staple. And the wire that's going up needs to go underneath the staple. So I put 3 crimps here, and then I take the wire up and I crimp the other end because it's going through the tensioner. When it comes up to the top, I've got another nail, and this time the wire goes over the nail to help keep it from sliding down. And this end I don't crimp because it's going through the tensioner. Now I like to use tensioners because then I know exactly how much tension I'm putting on the wire. I've snapped lines before, and so I'm a bit paranoid about it now, and I want to make sure that I don't have too much pressure on it. So every time I have a piece of wire, there's always a tensioner with a spring to let me know how much pressure I have. once this is squished in all the way, then you've used all the pressure that you should on that wire anymore, and it's going to snap. I always put, if you see these little loose crimps, I always have a couple of loose crimps on the wire in case one of these snaps, and I can just slide one on over. This insulator is because if I don't have it, this fence is obviously not energized at the moment, then my tensioner in this case is touching my wire. So once you finish putting your diagonals together, always go back and check and make sure there's nothing touching the wire. If there is, just slide an insulator over. And this is one of these wraparound insulators that I can just wrap it around it, and it'll come on or come off. And that is how I did my corner posts. So I put a corner post assembly every time I had an angle that was more than 30 degrees. I also did a corner post or brace post assembly anytime I had a dip or a rise. I haven't found any literature that explains how much of a dip is a dip and how much of a rise is a rise. So I just looked at it, and if I could see that the land had a hump or a dip, the top and the bottom would get a brace assembly. So I ended up, after I initially only counted for corners. By the time I looked at dips and rises, I ended up with a lot more corner post or brace post assemblies than I'd first calculated, which is fine. I know I've got a decent strong fence. Now when you wrap your wire around, I use long insulators. You can see I've got long insulators going around. And that's about that. That's how I did mine. Any questions, feel free to post. Hit like if you liked, hit subscribe if you want to get notifications for more posts, and have a good day.